Hello, everyone. My name is Dominic Kopp. I am your moderator. I'm a Cloud Solution Architect and an SME member for Information Protection Community inside Microsoft. I will be your moderator today. We have a presentation for Exact Data Match by Sebastian Zamorano, a Senior Consultant for Microsoft and also an SME for Microsoft Information Protection Community. I just want to remind you that this call is recorded. All of the names are anonymized. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in chat. We suspect that this call will take around 2 hours, but most likely less. And please be reminded that this call is recorded and it will be later on published online publicly with everything being anonymized by Sebastian. If you have any questions, once again, feel free to ask in the chat. And with this, I leave you with good hands to Sebastian to take you into the Exact Data Match journey.
Thanks, Dominic, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Maybe you was participate previously in other webinars that I was doing. Welcome again to all the people that is participating. Today, I will talk about Exact Data Match EDM. I will touch some previous concept from a past webinar that I did on May related to sensitive information types, custom sensitive information types, and EDM. Today, I will focus only on Exact Data Match. I will assume that you are aware from the previous knowledge. If not, I will share later the link to that webinar about sensitive information types, custom sensitive information types, and EDM. I will present today, and I will focus on the post-task activities. After we create our schema on our EDM schema on the Purview portal, we will see that we need to do several other tasks that are required, and I will try to explain one by one. The first thing that we need to have always in mind is what's mean primary element, character proximity, supporting elements, and the confidence level. In general, when we set a sensitive information type, we need to define a primary element and in some cases, some supporting elements in a character proximity or Windows proximity. If we don't have the primary element, the search engine for the sensitive information types will not work. Is the primary element the object that trigger to look into more evidence? In that order of idea, when normally, and that is the establishment related to create the sensitive information types, when we set sensitive information types, and we will see the same on Exact Data Match. For that reason, this is very important. In high confidence, that means we are looking for a primary element and many supporting elements. And in low confidence, maybe we will looking only for one primary element, and that is all, or maybe an additional evidence. We will set that character proximity by default is 300. That means from our primary element, we will look in 150 to the left and 150 to the right for those supporting elements. On EDM is something very similar. We will set some columns as a primary element, and then we will define which other columns will be supporting elements. In that order of idea, if the primary element is not present, we will not have any kind of match. That is very important. The big deal is normally when we set high confidence, with a more level of supporting evidence and information, the false positives are reduced. But if we reduce the confidence level, finally, the false positive will be increased. That finally, a kind of balance is complex. Something that I was learning working on DLP, building sensitive information types, and helping customers to create custom sensitive information types, exact data match, and several things, is try to find that balance between false positives and false negative. Because if we are adding too many evidence, maybe there is some data exfiltration that we are not finding. But if we're looking for any kind of match, we will have several false positive. And finally, the people that is watching the report or using the tool, they will start untrust on the tool because those false positive play in a negative way. That is in general. But by the way, we have on the Microsoft 365 side, we have several options to identify data, trainable classifier, regular expressions, dictionaries, regular expressions plus keywords. We have document fingerprint. We have several things, but with EDM, we can reduce a lot the false positive rate and the false negative rate because we are seeing with EDM, we are focused to identify if someone is extracting part of the of a database. That is the big deal. Sensitive information types, custom sensitive information types, and exact data match can be used on DLP, auto labeling, data discovery in Content Explorer, Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps, Advanced eDiscover, and Insider Risk Management. And we will go to the real world. We will start, I will show only a few more slides, but then I will start working in all this sample about exact data match and all the post task. And normally, if you have some experience, I will explain that. To work with EDM, we need to download something that is called EDM Upload Agent that permit to do the rest of activities. I will explain. With EDM, at least for the moment, some limit. We can upload database with 100 millions of rows, 32 columns, 10 columns can be used as a primary element. We can update 5 times per day, and we can automate through PowerShell. I will show you today that I built a solution. It's published as an open source. You can use it to automate all the tasks related to EDM. What we need to do, identify the column names, identify the primary element, validate each primary element, check any other element that can be helpful. Then create the EDM schema. What's happened, and this is very important to have in mind, a common error that I was seeing helping customers with EDM. If you have a database with 20 columns, to say something, but you are focused on 3 or 4 columns, no matter, you need to build the 20 columns in this in the EDM schema that we will see. If you have a database with 20 columns and you are focused on 3 or 4, no matter, you need to build the EDM schema with all your columns, not only the columns that contain primary elements. We need to have the rest of evidence. That is very important. What's happened with our data? We will have our sensitive information type. This is my database, but when we had the data, all that information is hatched. In the background, some kind of seed is created to manage the encryption, but finally your upload to 365, to your tenant on Microsoft 365, your data in this way. You are not uploading the text on the database on clear text, and I will show you that is the right way. As I mentioned, we will go to the Purview portal. I will explain how we can set all of this. In the site that I built on GitHub, I share some sample data. I will use the same sample data today here. And this is the most important point, as I mentioned. First of all, we need our database structure. With the database structure, as I mentioned, if you have 20 columns, we need to create the EDM schema. And then we will need to connect and validate our access. I know that the product group is working in a new solution, kind of airbag, role-based access control. But today, to upload the EDM data, you need to create security groups, call it EDM data uploaders. To upload the hash, the user doesn't need any other kind of permission. That user only needs to be part of this security group, call it EDM underscore data uploader. After we connect, we can obtain the schema file based on the data store. I will explain that as well. Then we need a database that export the information on a CSV, TSV, or pipe. That means comma separated, pipe separated, or tab separated. Then we will take this information, and with the schema file, we will validate that the database structure set on the EDM schema match with the information that is exported from here. Because if doesn't match, we cannot upload the data and the validation process fail. After that, we will create the hatch data, and having the hatch data, we can upload directly that hatch file to your Microsoft 365 tenant, or in some cases, you can copy that hatch file to another computer, and I will show you that. And from this another computer, we will upload the hatch. Why we want to do that? Because some customers are aware to have these 3 files on the same computer that is connected to internet. For that reason, I will show you that only copying the hatch file to a remote server will be enough to upload and update the data. Now, let's go to the demo, and I will present step by steps all the configuration. Feel free to ask any question or any comment. Today, the first thing that we need to do is going to the site. I will go all step by step. In this case, the site is aka.ms/EDM post task. That is the URL. Let me put on the chat. And here I am building the page with all the solution. You can review here all the stuff that we need and the Microsoft public information about EDM. And as I mentioned, one of the things that we will need, I will go to create the EDM schema on the compliance portal as well, is download the EDM Upload Agent. I have now the EDM Upload Agent. I put the link on this same page, but if you go to the Purview, the EDM documentation from Microsoft, you can find the same links. This is the tool that we will need for the post task. Let me install Minwell. Okay, that is enough. I will go now to the compliance portal. Compliance.microsoft.com. The other thing here on the same page, I have the sample data. If you want to test all of this, I will use this information to show to you step by steps what I will do. I will download all the files. Let me download that one. Download this one. The top one. In all the cases is the same database that I created that I export in the different formats. What's happened? Normally, by default, the EDM Upload Agent support comma separate fields. But if you're using address as an example in your data, address and locations have commas. And normally that can generate some problems, some bad lines at the moment to upload the information. For that reason, the recommendation from our product group is use pipe instead of comma or use tab instead of comma separated. But we will test the three options. Now, let me show you here. I am in the Microsoft Purview portal. That is compliance.microsoft.com. I will go to data classification, classifiers, EDM classifier. And for this sample, I will create a new one. This is another point. Maybe in the middle of this webinar, we will have the options to test. But when you create the EDM schema the first time, can take maybe 30 minutes or 1 hour to appear at the moment that we connect through the EDM Upload Agent. For that reason, I will show you that I will create a new one, but have the same configuration that I have for this sample. Okay, I will call this one EDM. I will use a prefix. Why I am using a prefix? Let me duplicate out this one, because this is only a recommendation, but my experience from the field today from Microsoft, in the Microsoft site, you have around 300 of built-in sensitive information types. You can see here that right now I have 400. I was building several sensitive information types on my environment. And if I want to look in for the EDMs one, I am detecting some of them, but not all of them, because I was using different names. If I want to simplify what I am looking in this, my recommendation is at the moment to build, use a prefix, and that will be more easily to operational talking to identify this one. I will, instead of employees, I will call it this one provider database. Then this was a change. Maybe this change have a 1 year. Right now, we can upload a file that contains the sample data, maximum 2.5 MB that you can upload, but having only an extract is enough, or we can build manually. But if we have 10, 20, or the top 32 columns, add one by one is a long trip. What I will do, I will upload, and let me see what's happened. I will take the same data that I just downloaded. I will take this one, pipe separated. And here we will see what's happened. Let me show the data on Notepad. This is the one that I am using. You can see that all the values are separate by pipe. All the values from this one are separate by pipe. In that case, here we can see that appear all the columns from my database extract. This is only a sample data from the original. And the first thing that the system do is identify the sensitive info type that can match with the the different criteria. Happens that I built a custom sensitive information types to detect any kind of word of number. For that reason, you can see here that I have matches the same custom sensitive information types for all. But let me try to explain here a little what we need to do to work. First of all, for all the columns that we will use as a primary element, we need to set a sensitive information type. Now, if we want to improve the result, reduce false positive in the data, for the supporting element, we can add the sensitive information types that match with that criteria. Let me show you the database. This is the database downloaded from the page. I built this one on the past in the previous webinar session. I share and I explained that, but I will try to do very quick to explain. Let me access with my user. It's taking time. Okay, it's coming. One minute, please, and we will see our database that we are using for this exercise. In which way I built this sensitive information type? We will see here. Let me show you. In the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, admin.microsoft.com, in the first page at home, here at bottom, we can find this one, Advanced Deployment Guide and Assistance. If we go to Secure Score, Compliance, Microsoft Purview Information Protection Setup Guide, I will go very quick because I explained that on the previous webinar. But here, if we do some next steps, we will find this DLP test harness. This script is available for anyone that have access to Microsoft 365 tenant. We can use this script to create sample data that match with the built-in sensitive information types. let me copy this file, Control-C, TMP, Control-V, Power Tool, one minute, please, CD, TMP, TMP, and we will execute the MIP test harness. This is very common, and I will show you with the new solution that normally when you download a script from another source, you cannot execute because the execution policy is set to remote sign it or sign it. In this case, we need to change to bypass, but I will show you that how we can sign this script. Now I will run in this one. Need to install some additional, but meanwhile this is loading. Let me back to the database. Here is the database. Sorry, I don't know what's happened. Give me a moment to open again. Here is my database. You can see that I have 16 columns with different data. For this exercise, I will use SSN as a primary element, the tax identity number as a primary element, and the phone number as a primary element. I can use other element, yes, but we need to decide the best information that can be used for this primary element. What's mean? Remember from the previous slide, if someone is taking part of this information, I will have a match. Depend how I am building the confidence level. For that reason, here where I have a primary element, but only one supporting element, I am putting on yellow because in the EDM schema creation, we will see that we can set how many of the evidence we want to use. The other thing that I will show very quickly happens that the built-in SSN from Microsoft side, in all the cases, looking for the SSN number plus a keyword. What we can do is duplicate that sensitive information type and remove the keywords to be used on this exercise. And this is in red because someone is extracting part of this data, but doesn't have any primary element. This is a good exercise to identify which kind of data can be considered a data leak, data exfiltration, and in which cases, which other columns we need to use as a primary element. Okay, let me connect here. This is the MIP test harness. Give me a moment. I will show you. This one was downloaded from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, admin.microsoft.com. And we will use this one to show how you can create sample data. Similar, I built this one. Now, let's back here. For SSN, I will use my version of SSN. As I, that was not the, sorry, SSN, my SSN. This is the copy. This is very important. Again, this is a very common issue with the people working with the people with extra data match, sensitive information types definition. I will show you with the SSN, and I am trying to be very clear on this one because there is other sensitive information types that normally generate the same kind of issue. In this case, the patterns related to SSN have 4 different functions for different format for the SSN number. But happen if we review the structure of these sensitive information types, no matter the function for the structure of the SSN number, in all the cases, you are looking for the number plus a word from this keyword list. That means if you have only a number, you will not have a match. Happens if we come in here, these sensitive information types, we're looking for the SSN. We saw here the US Social Security number. This is the built-in from Microsoft. We will see here on the details that we have the function SSN plus the keyword, the function unformatted SSN plus the keyword, function randomized formatted SSN plus the keyword, function randomized unformatted SSN plus the keyword. What we can do, previously I copied this one. Pressing copy, you will clone this one. And here in the new version, I have the options to edit. This edit permit me to manage the structure and inclusive add exclusion. I can create a keyword list for exclusion and I can add those exclusion. In this case, what I did was only remove the SSN words. From all the patterns, I remove the SSN keywords. That finally permit to do this. Let me show you. If I come in here and I test part of my data, let me see these employees, I will take the CSV, and I test. This is very important to do previews to build the EDM schema. Here I can see that all the SSN that was detected. But if I use the same, you can see here is the same file that you can download from the site. If I do the same exercise with the Microsoft built-in, and I'm not saying that the Microsoft one is have an error. The only thing that is looking for more evidence to reduce the false positive. If we use only as an SSN without additional evidence, we will have several of false positive. For that reason, this word was added. But when we are looking for a EDM, we are looking for 100,000 of matches, wait to have that SSN word in all the fields is not valid. And I will test the file and we will see that we will have only few matches because the column have the SSN number. And in the proximity windows, finally, we can take 2 or 3 different numbers near to the SSN word, but we are not identify all the SSN. Now, I will use SSN as primary element. I will use the tax identity number as a primary element. In this case, the tax identity number, we can review here, doesn't have the same configuration. If we go to US tax identification number and we saw the pattern, only in high confidence and a medium confidence, you have you need the word from this list, but in low confidence, those words are not required. In that order of idea, I can select the US tax identification number and is enough. I have full match. Now, The other one that I will use for this exercise is the phone number. I create arrow expressions to identify the US phone numbers. In this case, I will use this one for primary element. As I mentioned, other stuff that we can do to improve the result is add sensitive information types, but for the supporting element. Because inclusive in this case, we will have that was a partial match. We can start doing the same exercise with all the fields or maintain the fields empty without sensitive information types. But if we want to improve, the recommendation to reduce false positive is add the sensitive information types, no matter that you are not using these ones as a primary element. Now, we can set here if we want to have the same settings for all the columns, or for each column, we can have different behaviors. The first one is case sensitive or case insensitive. In some cases, we want to have a different behavior for some specific field. But if we want to have the same behavior for all the columns, we can use the first one. The other one is ignore some delimiters. That can be used on names, directions, last name that normally use special symbols that can be affect our data. And here coming, remember I was explaining about the primary element, the proximity windows, and the supporting evidence. By default, here we can see for each primary element, we can set the high confidence level, the medium confidence level, and the low confidence. What happened here? Because in high confidence, I am having two supporting elements, and for medium confidence, I am having only one supporting element. I cannot set low confidence because in that case, I can look in for some specific sensitive information type. But if I change this one to 3, I can change this one to 2, and finally, I can add low confidence for this with a supporting element that can be any of these. The other thing that is very important to have on mind here, let me finish here quickly, is the relation between the data. If I have this number and maybe the title and maybe this CBB doesn't make that doesn't have any kind of importance. In that order of idea, what we can say, okay, for me, title is not something that I want to match with the SSN. Brand maybe is not something. A bank name maybe something that I don't want to use on this criteria, which are the supporting element that I will use to discover my data. And I can start playing with all of this for each primary element. And now my schema is created. In the background, this can take several times to finish all the configuration. And after we'll be ready, we will see that the source files are not uploaded yet. But something that we will need is EDM provider, the data store name. This is the data store name. Now, I finished to install the EDM Upload Agent. You can see here, now I am in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. Previously, I created my EDM Data Uploaders Security Group. Right now, the way is this security groups with this specific name. No other permissions we need to add to this group. No other configuration is required. Only having a security group with that name is enough for EDM. And what's happened? If I open, let me come in here. Let me open another Power Tool. And I have pending to show the DLP test harness. I apologize for that. The other thing that I will need is from the EDM post task. As I mentioned, I built a group of a script that can help us with all the post tasks needed. I will explain with the common configuration and what we can do. But if you want to download all the script in one shot, here you have a zip that contains the script for this activity. Now, if I normally, the EDM Upload Agent is installed on Program Files, Microsoft EDM Upload Agent. If we want to use the EDM Upload Agent, there is several different configurations. We need to authorize, we need to use a username, password. This one on breaks are optional, but there is several things that can be complex for us, or maybe we are not aware what mean salt or custom salt, or what mean the column separator, or which options I have as a column separator. For that reason, I built this solution that I will show right now to simplify all those steps. The last thing that I was have pending was the MIP test harness that I downloaded, remember, from here, from the admin center at home. In the advanced deployment guide, I previously downloaded a script. That script, I connect to the script, and this interface now is showing, and this one permit me to look in for any built-in sensitive information types. Here are not the 300, but there is several that you can use to test. I can say, okay, I want Finland national ID, and I can say I want 50 of them. And now you have 50 sensitive information types that match with the Finland national ID. That is the only thing, something that you can use to build your own sample data. Something that is very complex normally is build our own sample data. In that order of idea, you can use this tool to build that. We will not need back anymore to here. Now, all the rest of activities needs to be do through the console. Which other activities? Let me back to the diagram that I was showing on the PPT. In this diagram, we need to connect and validate our credentials. We need to obtain the schema file. We need to obtain the export on CSV, TSV, tab separated, pipe separated. We need to validate all of that. We need to hatch the data. In that order of idea, here I was downloaded this script. I will take this, I will put on C. Let's move to here. So EDM. Yeah, let me move to. Okay, and let me move to C. Let me show you here what we have. In this folder, we have this setup script that is the most important and permit to do all the activities manually. But then, if you want to automate the activities, you want to create tasks on the task scheduler to run this daily, here in the support folder, we will find the rest of the script that are needed for that. Let's call the setup. Now I'm executing the setup file. What happened here? This configuration file was created. This configuration file, this is by default. We will go through all the steps to populate this information, but this is the default, and all our selection will be published here. Let me go step by step. We will initial setup for EDM. Here we have the first submenu related to populate this one, and we finish validating the connections to the service. First thing that we need to do is select the folders. Here is show me the current configuration. If you don't want to change, you can reuse that configuration. But if you want to change, you can select yes. And now we need to select the folder that the EDM Upload Agent is located. We will go here, EDM, Program Files, Microsoft EDM Upload, and we need to select this one. Okay. With this one, we select the first folder. Then we need the root folder. The root folder is the folder where the scripts are located. In this case, this EDM PT script is my root folder. Now, I need a folder for the hatch. My recommendation is create a separate folder for the hatch. I will create a folder, I'll call it hatch. I will show you the hatch. The hatch is our data, our real data that was in some way encrypted previous to be uploaded to Microsoft 365. Then we need the schema. Again, my recommendation, create a separate folder for the schema. And now the support files are located. This same support folder available with the original script, this support folder. And now you can see the new configuration, and that new configuration is refreshed here. You can see that the system is start changing the configuration. Now we need to get our credentials. First of all, I will show you fake credentials only to explain something. Is only a fake credentials. I will change the credentials later, but you can see here that the password initially is stored in clear text with the user. What we can do is, let me get my real credentials to test later all the steps. What we can do is use the third menu that encrypt the password. And now, if I back here, my password is hatch. This encryption for this password is only available with this machine ID and the logged user. I am explaining that because when we start copying the files to the remote server, we need to unencrypt the password. The password is sent unencrypted, and we need to encrypt again in the remote server. I will show you all of that. Okay, and then I can test my connection with the EDM service and command complete successfully. That's great. But what's happened? I was saying that by default, this EDM Upload Agent, it works with CSV, but maybe we want to use the pipe separated option or the tab separated options. Additionally, when we are uploading 100,000 or millions of rows, maybe some of those rows can have error, and we can set an allowed battle lines percentage. In this case, let me go to this menu. Here is saying that the default is 5 and CSV. I want to change the values? Yes. But I don't want to change the value from 5%, but I want to change the value for the column separator. In this case, I will use pipe. And here you can see the new values. And here is the information updated. We are done with the first step. We validate that we have connection to the exact data match service. Now we need to start working with the hatch, the data store, and all of that. We will select the second menu. On the second menu, as I was saying, each EDM schema that is created generates something that is called data store. The EDM Upload Agent called that data store, but here in the EDM classifier, that data store name is this one, the EDM schema name. Let's go to the script. We will ask for all the data stored available. We are connecting to the exact data match. And here we can see the data stored available. Happens, as I mentioned previously, the provider is not available yet because after you create the EDM schema classifier, can take easily 30 minutes, 1 hour to be available. When I start with EDM time ago from the beginnings, I was very concerned and hitting my head with the monitor because I was doing all the steps, but the data store name never appeared. And that was because you need to wait sometimes to have access for that. In this case, I will reuse this one, the number 3, employees data schema. And now, if we go to our configuration file, here you can see that the data store was added. Then we need to obtain the schema file. That is an XML file that is available through this configuration. We will get that file. It is working. And now this XML file related to this data store is located on our folder. Let's see. If I come in here to the schema, I have my XML. The XML is the same structure that we built in the compliance portal, in the Purview portal at compliance.microsoft.com. This is the same structure that we built previously. And now what we need to do is validate that the original data match with that structure. In that case, I will set a data file in this same root folder. I can have the data file in anywhere, but in this case, to show, I will explain in this case. And I will take the pipe. We was using the pipe in our configuration. We say that we want to use the pipe. Yes, it's this one. This employees database pipe is the same Excel file that I was showing here, but I exported previously separate by pipe. You can see here is the same database that I export separate by pipe. That is all. Let's see what's happened. I will select the number 3. We need to set the EDM, the data files for the EDM. In this case, I have this data folder, and I need to select the format. In this case, I am using this TSB. I select the file, and you can see that the system say that the separator that I was using is the pipe. I select all the information, and here you can see that my validation passed. What happened here? The system in the background compare this schema.xml that contain our structure with the original data that we can upload to see if all the information match. That is the schema validation. And now we need to create the hatch for our data. This one, connect and build the hatch. Let me show you. I will back to the original folder, the root folder that I have here. Here is my TSB. And now here on the hatch folder, I have 2 files. This edm.salt, we was reviewing, I mentioned a salt file, is a kind of seed that was used to hatch the information. But if I show how now my information, you can see here that all the information was hatched. The same pipe file, separate by pipe, now you can see in this way. That is the information that will be uploaded to your tenant, to your Microsoft 365 tenant. And you can see here that all the information was set on this file, the EDM config. If you make any mistake in the configuration, every time that you make a change on the EDM config file, this backup is created. If you're okay, you can download those backup JSON files. It's only a backup that is created every time that you make a change in the configuration file. Okay? Now, before you continue, if you want to use another server to upload your data, please select the menu 3 on the main menu. But for this case, I will upload the hatch directly from this computer. You let me back to the diagram. To this one, I am sit in front of this computer doing all the actions inclusive. Now I will do this one, upload the hatch data to my Microsoft 365 tenant. But then I will show you that we can work with a remote server. In this case, I will select upload the hatch data. What is happening here? The hatch file that is located here is uploaded to your tenant on Microsoft 365. That is happening in the background. You can see here that the command complete successfully. And if we want to see the status, we have the number 6 to see the status of this upload. And here at the top, you can see that the processing is in progress. I am making the change right now, uploading. Other things that I can do is set a task on the task scheduler to hatch the file, or set a task to upload the hatch to Microsoft 365. I will go through all the the rest of the steps, and then I will back to the specific task and how we can use those tasks. Okay, number 3, I want to work in a remote server. I want to avoid from this computer that have access to the real data in plain text to upload directly to internet. I want to avoid that. For that reason, I will copy the hatch to another computer, and from that computer, I will upload that. Okay, let's select the number 3. In the background, please be aware of that. In the background, what is happening? I am running all those comments that we was viewing previously. Here in the background, I simplify these steps and I am running this command and all the combinations for those comments. That is all. Now I want to copy the data needed to a remote server. I will select the first one. By default, it's set to localhost, but I will change this one. I want to change the location, and easily here I can put my remote server. I created this empty folder, and all the information was copied to that place. I will jump immediately to that computer. You can see that now in my EDM config file, that information was updated as well. The other option that I have here is create a task to copy that hatch daily to the remote server. Let me back, and then we will need to work with the remote server activities. The other thing that we have here is about the script. It's only a text with some information. And this is another very important. We will back to this one is in the supporting element, we have the options to sign the script. I will back later to that. Now, let me go to the remote server. This is the remote server. Let me go to the webinar folder. You can see here that in my unit C, in the webinar folder, I have the remote config file, remote hatch, and EDM setup. Let me see, something was happened here. I believe that something was wrong. My apologies, I will fix that quickly. But the other that was pending to copy, it was the hatch folder. Let me see what happened. That was working, but past week I was doing some changes on the script. It happens that this folder normally is copy as well. My apologies for that. I will fix this folder is copy with only the hatch in the final computer. I will fix that. Let me jump to there. Here on the data collector, this is the information that normally is copied. We have a remote config JSON file. This JSON file only contains a few information with the password in clear text. I forget that because remember the hatch was created with the encryption for the password was created for the local machine with the local machine ID and the logged user. What we can do to avoid that is in the same script. Let me move to the webinar folder. We can execute the EDM setup script. Again, we have the same problem with the digital signature. I will change the execution policy to bypass. I can execute this one, and you can see that now this one is marked, and I know that I need to work in the remote server activities. The first thing that I will do to start showing the information is encrypt my password. We can change the credentials. We can sign the script again. This is very important. Let me go step by step. I will select the folders. Here is show me the folders that I need. I want to change the location. Normally, the first one is always located on the same place, the EDM Upload Agent. Then we have the webinar folder. That is my root folder, and only the hatch folder. Now, my configuration file, let me show the configuration file, contain all that information. Here is all the configuration with the password, the hatch, and all of that. Now, we can sign the script. Using the number 2, we can sign the script. In this case, you can see that I have several scripts, and I can reuse any of those scripts, and the script will be signed. That permits me to change. Let me go back. I will change the execution policy to remote sign it. And now I can work with this one. This is very important because when you work with a task on the task scheduler, more specifically on Windows Server, the PowerShell script doesn't work with the bypass configuration. You need to sign the script. For that reason, it's very important. What can happen, and let me show you that. Is for any reason, I will remove all the script. These are the ones that I was removing are the code signed script. If I come in here, and if you don't have any code signed certificate for your script, the same script generate a new one, a self. Here is proceeding to create a new one. We will see a pop-up saying that you want to install the certificate, and you will have the options to use that self-signed certificate to protect and sign the script. Now I want to change. You can see here, this script was this certificate was created here at the top to as a code signing to sign the script. I will select the new one, and now my script are signed. If you want to use other credentials, you can change the credentials. And now I can upload the hatch to Microsoft 365. But first of all, let me see if the previous status. Remember that you can upload only 5 times per day. Here we have a processing failed. I need to review what's happening. I was testing several times. I need to review if I made a change. We will try to upload again. Here coming, we will go to the number 5. And the command will try to upload the hatch file. You can see here in this remote server, only we have the hatch file. we don't have any other information. The remote configuration file only contains a few part of the information, and that is all. This another script is used on the task, under task scheduler, to upload the data. Let's see what's happened. Let's see the status. Okay, is processing in progress. Now, let me back to the original computer. We was working here. And now we will review each script that are used on the as a task on the task scheduler. The first things that I recommend is sign the script. Is the same thing that we do we did in the previous machine. Is sign the script that are located here. If I don't have a certificate, a new certificate is created to sign your script. For that reason, we use the remote sign configuration, because with that, we are protecting our data. Okay, I want to sign the script. I will use the only one that I have, but this one permit to use. Okay, I need to validate another error appeared. That's some change process. I believe that was too quick. Let me try again. No, I will fix this one. My apologies for that, but this one will do the same thing that we was doing on the previous. Let me use this one. Sign. Maybe I make a mistake on one point. Yeah, I need to fix something in the in that part. I will fix that, and I will upload the fix today. No worries. But you can see here that finally we are simplifying all the tasks that normally we need to do, and we need to have a lot of knowledge. Now, related to the task, as I mentioned, we have different tasks that can be created. We can create a task to create the hatch. We can create a task to copy that hatch to a remote server. We can create a task to upload that hatch to your tenant on Microsoft 365. And we can create a remote task to upload the same hatch from the remote server. Those are the four scripts that I will show you now. Let me move to the support folder. I will execute one by one, but then I will show you how the tasks are created using the same script. The first script that we need to validate here is in the support, create hatch. That is the first one. If we execute the EDM create hatch, what's happened in the background, a timestamp file is created, and that permits to know and compare if I have a new file to be hatched, or if the file that remain is still the same. If I execute the EDM create hatch, the data file is still the same and nothing was hatched. This is the first thing here to create the hatch. Now, let me show you. If I come in here, we was working with the TSV file. We was working with this one. If I modify something, the last write time is changed. And now if I execute, let me show here on the hatch as well. You can see here the last hatch was created for 17, but now if I execute EDM create hatch, a new hatch file was created. Let me refresh. Because the original file, the time from the original file was changed. That permit to identify if we have new files available, and based on that, decide if we want to hatch the data or not. Then, related to the other script, to copy hatch, in this case, we want to copy the hatch to the remote server. You can see here the copy was complete. Let me see. Let's go to the data collector. Let's see the folder. Here we can see the hatch folder. And I made some bad change on my script. Let me check that one. I will fix that one. My apologies, as I believe that I make some changes on the script. I comment a line, but in general, what will happen is we will copy the hatch folder to the remote server. And if the hatch is still the same, nothing will be copied because the same script create another timestamp file that permit to identify if we have a new hatch file or not. If we have the new if we have the new hatch file, that hatch file is created. If not, it's not copied. That is in general the configuration. Then we have the script to upload the hatch. First of all, to upload the hatch, let me see if we have news related to the upload status. I was waiting to do these steps because remember, you can refresh the data only 5 times per day. In this case, I have 2, and inclusive. Right now, I can receive an error saying that I was refreshing the data very quickly because in the background happens that here the system is indexing the data, and that indexing the data take time. For that reason, in this third time that it will try to upload the data, I can receive an error because I am uploading the data very quickly, and we can upload the data only 5 times per day. Let me try again and see what's happened. Let's see the status. EDM hatch upload status. It's still showing as processing failed. What we can do, let me change some values that in this menu, in the previous in the previous menu. Let me, sorry. In the previous menu, in the number 1, number 9, I will increase the allowed bad lines percentage. Maybe I have some bad lines on my environment. Sorry, I want to change. I want to set to 15. I want to still using a pipe. And then let me go back. I will not run from here. I will use the PowerShell to run the new script, EDM PT support. And now the other script that I want to test is the EDM hatch upload. EDM hatch upload. Do all the steps, validate, and start uploading the data. If I go here to the number 2 and I check the status, I will see that, sorry, check the status, number 6. Okay, as I mentioned, okay, I have a previous processing failed, and now it's not showing me anything because I was saying at the beginning that the system only permits to refresh 5 times per day. Because I was trying to refresh in less than an hour 3 times, the system stopped receiving these changes. We will need to wait a few hours to test and validate that. But again, if you want to try to execute again, if the hatch file was not modified, that means you don't have a new hatch file, nothing happened and nothing was uploaded because you don't have a new file. This is very important with the task because we want to automate the activities, and based on that, we want to avoid to upload more than once at a time the same file. That is why we are checking. And here in the support folder, you can see that a new upload hatch timestamp was created. And the same happens in the remote server. On the remote server, let me go to the remote server. Here on the remote server, I have my script webinar. I have this script, EDM remote hatch upload. And if I execute this one, the same exercise happen. We take the data, we validate, we start uploading the information. Let's see if we have some news from that place. Okay, in this case, we are seeing that the upload is in progress. Now past this upload process. And if I want to execute again, I will not be available to execute because the timestamp that is created match with our previous upload activity. That is in general. Now, what we can do is create the task in our task scheduler. I will show you that. We can reuse previous folders. These folders are located here. You can see I have a previous folder, and inclusive I was testing that. If I try to create the task right now, I will receive an error because a task was previously created. I will proceed with the EDM folder that is by default. The configuration is for 1 day, but we will see that the scheduled task name already exists. For that reason, we will not create any new. But if I delete this one, let me delete this one. I want to create the task. I want to proceed with the EDM folder. That is by default. I will set to run daily. And now, if I back here, I can see that the task was created. The only thing that we need to take care on this point is we need to make this change manually to run whether the user is logged or not, to run as a service. And if you want to change and run not daily, maybe twice a day, the only thing that you need to do is come in here and change every how many times that you want to execute this one. And you can say, as an example, 12 hours. In that case, twice a day, this script will start generating and creating the data. That is in general, and I will back to the original source computer. This is this one there. And here in this one, if we come back to the menus, here we can create the task for the hatch file. We can create the task to upload the hatch. And in the menu number 3, we can create the task to copy the hatch data daily, or because by default is created to run every 24 hours, but you can change the task to run every 12 hours or something. You can use the default EDM folder, or you can create another folder. I will call this one webinar, and all the configuration will be added to that one. If I open my task scheduler, I can see that now I have the webinar folder and the task was created here. That is in general. My apologies, I saw 2 errors I will fix right now. I believe that because I was testing something, I comment a couple of lines. I will fix and I upload the new version fixed. But with this one, I wanted to show that today all the post tasks related to EDM can be more simple for you. That is all the presentation. I don't know if we have some questions, that concern, inquiries related to this.
There were no questions in the chat, Sebastian. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to write right now. Great presentation, Sebastian. And don't worry about the live errors that always happens on live presentations. So I believe the process is simple enough that anyone can create EPM tasks now with this script.
Additionally, here in the GitHub page for EDM, you will find the sample data. You will find all the details. I'm still writing the GitHub page, but at least you have here completely all the explanation, what we can do. We can see the general menus that you can find. And the part that I'm still finished to build is the explain it one by one by the menus. I'm still building that, but you will see here that all of that will be available as a manual. Please, if you have time, remember to full the survey, complete the survey. And I really appreciate your participation today here.
We might have a question. Someone's writing. So just a thank you. Okay. So good presentation, Sebastian. I believe we have no more questions. And
I really appreciate your time. Thanks a lot for your participation, and we keep in touch with another webinar soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Have a good day, everyone. Have a good weekend.